Hey guys, how you doing? Welcome to day 11 of the Ballad of Garvin Hackett. Right with me. My name's Franco. I'm a script doctor, and I'm writing a screenplay live. So, for those of you who are new to the channel, as usual, there's nobody in the chat. So I'm gonna say hello. Hello, everyone. Let's see. Okay, it's gonna be fun. Okay, so before we get started, I'll share a little bit about what we're doing. So right with me, this is live screenwriting from scratch, and this is day 11, and this is a checkpoint day. So what does that mean? It means this is sort of a day where I look at everything we've got, and I try to identify, okay, what are the next bits in my to-do list that are the most important to get this over the finish line. So we're making pretty good progress, but I want to make sure that we plug the biggest holes, so to speak. So for those of you who haven't are not familiar with the channel, this is a movie script being written completely from scratch. The Ballad of Garvin Hackett, the story we're telling, is an ironic dark comic take on 90s action movies. It's basically Forrest Gump meets Scarface, directed by Sidney Lumet. And except the laws of physics actually apply. So it's not like a Michael Bay movie where the bullets miss, or they recover from a bullet, wound and stuff like that. It's not like a John Woo film. Instead of going the traditional development route, I'm writing this movie directly for you as a public process. And the idea is that we're going to turn this eventually into a cinematic graphic novel using AI. So it's going to be fun. We're going to basically do a storyboard that is like it's like a graphic novel, like a thick comic book, but photorealistic characters and photorealistic locations. So we can really enjoy making the story without the traditional budget constraints and other issues that you'd get from the traditional development process. So if this is something that you think would be fun, grab a notebook or keyboard and write along with me. And if you want to follow along from the beginning, you can check out the Liminal Boundaries channel at this link, which is in the description. So links in the description. Okay, terrific. Let's get started. Let's do it. All right. So the first thing you want to do is let's look for the most important file today, to-dos. Okay. So I just have a couple of old to-dos there. I don't need them anymore. In fact, I'm just going to, actually, I kind of need this one. All right. So this to-dos file is just going to capture the next steps that we have to do. This is like real writing. It's sort of managing a project, right? So let's start with the characters. So I'm going to go through my character sheets and see where the holes are, see who's not developed. I kind of have an idea who needs a little work, but we'll see. Let's see. Garvin's got some text. He's our main character. He's doing pretty well. Jackson's got some text, but I think I'll go with yeah, do a little research into Overtown in the 90s. I think that's a pretty good one, right? Research Overtown in the 90s. That's where Jackson's from, and I really don't know all that much about the culture in that particular area, so it would be fun to do a little research on that. And then, because that's his background, it's where he's from, right? Let's see, and then there's James Robert Hackett. I've done quite a bit of research on him, so I'm good there. That's Garvin's dad. And then Joel, I've done quite a bit of research on him. Joel is the bad guy, right? The evil sort of mastermind. Look at Garvin's mother. Okay, we've got stuff, but I don't really have her name. So I need a name. Yeah. So let me write that one. So Garvin's mother's name and background. I know she's a Cuban refugee, and Garvin's 22, So she probably married in her early 20s. Oh, I had an idea. So my aunt, who passed away many years ago, she's Cuban, and when she was 18, she moved from Havana. Her dad always used to say, the minute you turn 18, you can leave, but until you could do whatever you want, but until you do, you have to play by my rules. You have to obey my rules in this house. So she did, and then at the day she turned 18, she moved out, and she had a spine on her, and so she came to America, and she married a man, and apparently it was an abusive relationship. Anyway, long story short, throughout her life, I think she got married like 5 times. So I wonder if I can use inspiration from my aunt. That would help me clear up a lot of history right away of Garvin's mom, right? Like Garvin's mom is obviously not my aunt, but if they have similar backgrounds, similar backstories, it's just much easier to get into her head. All right. And so going back, that helps a lot. And then Roger Gust. Roger Gust, oh, we do have quite a bit of research to do with Roger. So, yeah, we have to do Roger Gust Technologies. Roger Gust is a tabloid reporter in the 90s, tabloid TV reporter. His show Panic Button is sort of like a real crime show. So I'll just put research Roger Gust Technologies. Okay. So we know that's got to get done. And let's see who else we have. Tammy Lynn. And Tammy Lynn I've done quite a bit of research on, sort of know her background and everything. So I think Tammy Lynn's pretty good. So our big gap there is Garvin's mom. Cool. And now let's go back to, so those are the characters. And let's see. The outline. So, oh, debate sequence. Okay. I see what I did there. So this is just where eventually I'm going to build the outline of the film. But for right now, it's just placeholders. So we don't need to deal with that yet. Let's see. I have a bunch of notes. So that he thinks at first they think he's gonna get killed, but he doesn't. Contrast Garvin's tiny TV to the goon cave, Joel's theater. Shootout in a dark room. During the shootout. Okay, so these are all good notes. Let me see. They've got the cars. Okay, so it's just kind of like tangential stuff. The kind of exotic cars they would have, whatever. Let's see. We got the outline. What's this? Prompt feature. Oh yeah. So that's something else. That's for generating AI stuff. Okay, so research requests, research questions. Okay, so here we go. We got how much damage does an M... Oh yeah, so all the stuff about M60 machine guns. Yep, and then how would Garvin have one? Right. And then we've got the name of his show, so I'm just gonna, yeah, it's whatever, it's done. Let me just bring that up a bit. Okay. Oh shoot, I gotta turn on my timer. And cool. And then question. Okay, great. Garvin's mom, set piece locations. Okay, so we got his trashy white girlfriend. We got that. That's done. Let's see. I have Roger. Oh, I'm gonna put Jerry Springer and Geraldo Rivera in his character sheet because that's where that belongs. That's pretty good. So let's go to character and Roger Gust. Okay, I'll just put it here. Playing a cross between Pasta and I'll go Jerry Springer and Geraldo Rivera. There we go. Okay, so we got that. was actually upset because I actually thought of this movie many, many years ago. And then they made Natural Born Killers, and they actually cast Robert Downey Jr. as the tabloid reporter. I'm like, oh, that's such great casting. You know, I'd already thought of casting him in that kind of a role. But that's how things go. Good minds think alike, I guess. Let's see. So these are sets. I'm not going to worry about them. Oh, let's go back to the research questions. Okay, so I got Roger Gust, and I think I have a better arc than this one. This is a character arc. So let me just go here and bring that into the character. Just make sure with this little checkpoint that Roger Gust has a richer arc than the one I'm erasing. So I'll paste this bad boy here. Let's see. Decision 1. Okay, ambush Garvin's mom on camera before. Okay, so I like that wording. Ambush Garvin's mom on camera. Okay, that's actually more dynamic. And okay, ambush Garvin's mom on ambush interview. It should be ambush interview Garvin's mom on camera. Okay, so that's nice. It's kind of more of a literary thing that I just did there. It didn't change the story much, but it helps you evoke it when we start building out the treatment. Okay, decision to make a deal with Garvin to get tips before Garvin kills someone. Okay, yeah, that is pretty good. That's better than get ahead of Garvin's crimes. Because now with this one, it's more open. Like he could just sort of inadvertently end up in the crime spree by mistake. He doesn't have to be so smart, right? Interview Garvin's girlfriend, and she doesn't turn him in, but she reveals his identity. And then interview Garvin at the massacre. After the massacre. So he just is what he is, you know? He's like this creature. All right, so that got rid of some notes that we had pending. That's good. Let's go back to the research questions. We can go here. Okay, Jackson. Let's see where Jackson is. So let's go to Jackson's character sheet. Where's Jackson at? There he is. Okay. And let's see. Okay. So the first decision is to put a bomb on Garvin's dad. Yeah, I like that. And then, oh, I see I kind of did too. So he's sort of in the middle. I kind of have these as primary, secondary. So I think what's happening here is I just sort of did this backwards. So, well, not backwards. It's unfinished. It's just unfinished work. So let's delete that. Oops. And then so he gets called back from jail when Garvin is revealed on TV. That makes sense because so he doesn't actually turn Garvin in. It's a series of coincidences. So let's get rid of that. Takes credits for Jack. He can't really take credits for Garvin's kills because he's in prison. So I'll just X that out. And then he does train Garvin. That is a decision he makes. So I think we can X a lot of this out. Okay, let's see. So Whitey's real name is Michael. So it's worse. He's like the blackest guy in Overtown. And then, you know, I don't know. It was like there's in a lot of communities you'd get like the, you know, Fatty McPhee and she's like really thin, you know, or you'd get, you know, Captain and he hates the ocean, right? So in this case, he's like really, really black. And so they call him Whitey. And his real name is Michael, which is even more embarrassing because 1994 is the peak of Michael Jackson. So it's kind of funny. So yeah, it's Whitey, and let's see what Whitey's decisions are because we got some work to do here. This is an important thing to do. Let's just look into it. So he puts a bomb under Garvin's dad's car, and even though he's kind of guessing. Yeah. Then he trains Garvin, but I think that's really kind of decision 2. So we can move that. Oh, I see. So I had this kind of decision tree for him, or arc, where, yeah. So we've got this like weird series of events. So the way the story is, Garvin gets sent to get Whitey's car. And when he gets sent to get Whitey's car, he discovers the evidence that he's basically the people he's been working for are the people who killed his dad, who he's trying to get revenge on, right? But he didn't know that, so he's been basically taking out their competition. So when that happens, I originally thought that the gang was so well connected that they could just get people in and out of prison with impunity, right? Because they've bought the right politicians. Now I'm not so sure. I think maybe he should be getting out of prison and Garvin should be going to pick him up, and then he makes the discovery, and then he gets back home to where he's staying, and he makes another discovery, which is that his girlfriend is on TV and basically revealing his identity. So I think those are like 2 Deus Ex Machinas that make things worse, which is good. You should never have a Deus Ex Machina that makes things better. But random events that make things worse, or like random coincidences that make things worse, are fun. Now, there was one that was pretty funny, which was in Pulp Fiction. Kind of broke that rule a little bit, where he sees Marcellus Wallace on the street and he runs him over. But somehow I think they end up in the sex dungeon after that. So I don't remember. It's a long time ago. All right, so I have to look that up. So I think decision 3 is definitely not to train Garvin. So, and his decision isn't really to leave prison. So that's not a decision, right? So he decides to kill Garvin. And that's, once he's out, right? Because he has to kill him because everyone knows who he is now. So he knows too much. And if he gets caught by the cops, right? Garvin knows too much. Right? So they have to kill him. And let's see. I think if we go this way, train Garvin is probably like a good decision. Like sponsor him. Train, sponsor Garvin, right? So he just doesn't have a lot because he's in prison the whole time. He's not in the story for most of the second act. And then he defies the police officer that pulls him over and gets tased. Oh, this is funny. It's just like, do not comply, and he ends up in prison. That's a funny scene. Let's see. Put the bomb under Garvin's car's dad. Yeah. So that's the first decision, and he's sloppy. So that first decision definitely, kill the wrong guy, right? But what's a better term for that kind of a decision? He's not just killing the wrong guy. He's like, he takes a shortcut, right? So he's sloppy. Let me do a quick jab on the research on that and see if I can get something better. Let's see. All right, Claude, what can we do here? I've got a character who's like a sloppy, and I'm writing, and he's like a sloppy hitman, and I'm putting his 4 decisions down, right? And his first decision, I'm trying to say this tightly, right? But what happens is he's out to kill the head of the rival gang, and some innocent dude has the same exact car as the head of the rival gang. And so he has a bomb, and he just basically, he's so low conscientious that he just flips a coin, basically, puts it under one of the cars because he doesn't know. And then he blows up the wrong car. And that sort of sets into motion a bunch of events in the rest of the story. So what would you call that kind of a decision? How would you describe that kind of a decision? Let me give you some examples of the other decisions that he makes so you can see what I'm talking about. Let's see. So let's go to, I'm going to copy in. All right, these other decisions. Here we go. Here are my current decisions, and I just need a better way of saying the first one. Let's see what Claude comes up with. Substitutes confidence for information. Treats a guess like a certainty. Yeah, I think. Right. So what I'm looking for, the closest thing that you have is wrong card doesn't check, because that's actually pretty close to the idea. I think what he doesn't check who he's supposed to kill, or he doesn't double check the car. And I think that's the key concept that I'm trying to communicate there. I think the key concept I'm trying to communicate is the lack of conscientiousness. Like he doesn't check that he's putting the bomb under the car of the person he's actually supposed to kill. Yeah. Okay, skips verification of the target. That's pretty good. I'll go with that. So let's get back here to where we were. Back to writing. And let's see. We're Whitey Jackson. And his decision 1 skips the verification and puts the bomb under the government's even about who he was supposed to kill, and puts the bomb under Garvin's dad's car by mistake. So I think decision 4 to kill Garvin is good in that, oh, what's a really sloppy way to kill somebody? Huh. That's a good. So this is good. We're gonna get his decision right now. So we're rolling now. We're rolling. We got some stuff. We got some stuff. Let's see what we got. So let's go to 2. Do a little research. All right. So what does this guy in is he's just sloppy, right? He's just lazy. He just doesn't like dot the I's and cross the T's, so to speak. So at the end, there's a big shootout, and of course, this guy is the sort of the hitman for the gang. His name is Whitey Jackson, and the protagonist of the story is called Garvin. and he's actually the son of the guy Whitey Jackson killed by mistake. They meet in prison. Whitey teaches him how to be a hitman, and Garvin, thinking that he's getting revenge on his father's killers, basically wipes out the rival gang of Whitey. But Whitey has a boss who was the guy that both him and Garvin work for. His name is Joel. So when Garvin realizes that Joel's gang is actually responsible for his father's death, he turns his skills on his own gang. And by that time, Whitey's out of prison, and so Whitey is like the final boss before you get to the boss, if you know what I mean. So what's a really funny way to make Whitey super like unconscientious, and that kind of does him in? What's like a funny, sloppy way for him to make a poor decision that gets him killed? Let's see if Claude has any good ideas. This is funny. He doesn't check that he killed Garvin, right? He tells someone else to finish the job, and he also doesn't check. He thinks he's empty. He goes to reload. Garvin isn't dead yet. Huh. That is kind of funny if he like kind of doesn't fill his magazine up the whole way. That's kind of funny. I like that he doesn't check if Garvin's dead. I like that. And he's like, "Yeah, I got him." and then Garvin shoots him. That's kind of funny. Okay, we're done here. Oh my god, that's funny. Okay. So I think we got so a good little moment in the film. So uh I think we can add, that's kind of a decision, right? And we're going to put that here. Doesn't check when he kills Garvin. Okay, we're done here. And then the gun goes off behind him because Garvin is alive. All right. And it could be, he could be talking to Joelle. Tells someone else to finish the job. Then Joelle asks him if he's sure. Oh, that's funny. That's how Joelle gets out. He probably has a panic room. That's how Joelle gets out of the panic room. That's what he does. He gets out of the panic room because he's like, you can't get him, right? He runs into the panic room. I just made that up. There's a panic room. Of course, there'd be a panic room. And then, you sure? And then Whitey. Then a gunshot goes off. Gunshot goes off. And then Whitey smiles. Then henchman comes back. And Garvin is, would Garvin be holding him up? Could you do that? Is that realistic? Huh. Holding him up. That seems a little bit too action movie-ish, but whatever. And he's behind him. This is dumb. But you get the idea. This is just a rough idea. Okay, so I think decision 4 is he doesn't check when he kills Garvin. Yep. That's the best decision. He doesn't check when he kills Garvin. And then I think we don't need to do the whole decision to kill Garvin, because that's not a big character decision. Like, it's sort of once the idea is decided, I don't think that's a major character arc. He doesn't really defend him. You know, he's always been using him. So it's not really, it's more like another cold calculation. The funny decision is that he doesn't check when he kills Garvin. So he's just, yeah. He doesn't check. He doesn't check. That's funny. Okay. So we got this note. And that's actually good. That's the reason that he comes out. It's the reason that Joel comes out of the hiding, and that's how Garvin gets to him. So at the end of the day, that's good. All right. So, okay, we got some progress. So let's go back here, see where we're at. We had notes, right? Was it notes where we're at? No, this is just car stuff. Where were we? We were in the research questions, right? Where are you at? Research questions. There we are. Research questions. Add some set piece locations. Okay. Characters are done, so I can get rid of all that. And I had some ideas. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, this is how Whitey gets arrested. I've seen some really funny body cam videos, so I got this one. I think it's great. Basically, he pulls over for something stupid like a turn signal, and then the cop looks in the trunk, and he sees all the explosives and everything. And but then there's like a bag of weed, and that's what the cop zeroes in on. And then that's how he goes to arrest Jackson. He asks him to get out of the car because he left like a blunt in the car, you know? And then he finds like a bottle of Colt 45 in the car, like dumb stuff, right? And then Whitey tries to run and he gets tased, and that's how he gets it. So he ends up in jail. So let's see. And of course, you know, turns out he had a warrant, blah, 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 blah. Whatever. We can make up rules to get him to stay in prison longer than Garvin. Okay. So Joel doesn't kill Jackson because he needs him in an insurance policy in case Garvin shows up. Uses Jackson as a meat shield. Okay, so that's pretty good. But under the current logic, Joel doesn't kill Garvin. No, Joel doesn't kill Jackson. Because, yeah. Basically, Jackson's been in prison this whole time, so... yeah. So, I think what's important here... and I'll put this in the outline. Outline. I'll put Act 3. Garvin gets to the panic room. and instead of Joelle, finds Whitey. And that's it. So, and then standoff. Boom. So that's that. Let's go back to our research. Actually, I'm going to go to our research questions, and I'm going to just pop this out as a separate thing. That way we don't have to keep going back and forth. When they think Garvin, no, Joe makes a phone call. So originally I had it that like the girlfriend is in on it, right? But I think it's just funnier if she's not in on it. What everyone does is everyone watches. Oh, but you know what? I think it's funny that everyone's watching Panic Button. Right? Joelle's gang, the Booby Boys, and Garvin, right? Tammy Lynn. They all watch. So when Tammy Lynn reveals Garvin's identity, everyone finds out at the same time. Okay, so that is a good note there. And then I don't know this using him as a meat shield. I mean, it's not a very interesting idea because of course he is. He's a gang leader. Jackson, given history, the whole ethnicity of everyone. Oh, so at some point when Jackson is like, he's realizing that Garvin is outperforming him. There may be a phone call, right, between him and Joelle. And he's like, given the history of the whole ethnicity of everyone involved is making me feel a little uncomfortable. Oh my god. That's funny. It's kind of European colonizer dialogue. Although colonizer wouldn't be the terms used in 1994, so I'd have to research that. But that would be really funny. It's just something about like hardworking Hispanics displacing the black population. It's like a historic problem. Or conflict in South Florida with the Cubans and the blacks during that time period. And then, because for those of you who don't know, it was a really interesting time period because most of the Cubans that came from Cuba, they needed money, so they were competing for the same kind of like factory jobs that a lot of the black workers had. And then so there was this sort of competition for work, and that caused a kind of resentment between the two ethnicities. All right, so everyone flips on Garvin. Jackson to get out of jail, Joel to get rid of him, the girlfriend for money. Why does Jackson flip on Garvin? The cops, okay. Okay, so I think that's kind of funny. The cops, when Garvin is revealed, okay, so Jackson doesn't turn him in. It's the girlfriend that turns him in. So, okay, so it could be kind of funny. What if Jackson turns Garvin in because he's jealous, and then the feds get the call, and they kind of know what's going on, but they don't do anything about it because he's kind of doing their job for them. That's kind of funny. Okay, yeah. So right now I have in the cops when Jackson turns them in, they all talk about it and decide not to do anything, and then the girlfriend goes public, and then they have to do something, right? Right. So the cops. So yeah. So then that is a major decision for Jackson. Oh, and so it's 1994, so people were pretty racist back then, and like openly, in their conversation. So I think it'd be really funny if the cops are saying the N-word over and over again, but we keep bleeping it out. But that wouldn't work in a graphic novel so well. I guess it might, but in a movie it would be really funny. They just say the N-word over and over again, and you hear enough of it so you know what they're saying, but you just hear bleep, 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 bleep. That would be kind of funny. Let's see. In other words, they say it so much that it's almost like a rhythm under the scene, and you can't really tell what else they're talking about because they say it so much. That was the idea. It's just like too dense. Let's see. There was a gag like that in Austin Powers with the shiitake mushrooms. This is the closest thing that I've seen of that. I'm probably not the first person to think of that gag. Let's see. But I like this, so I'm gonna move this because this is really good. I'm gonna move this to Jackson. Let's see how we're doing. Let's see. Okay, so Jackson, feeling like Garvin is stealing his thunder, turns him in to the cops with an anonymous tip. The cops talk about it and decide not to do anything. Because he's doing their work for them. And then when Tammy Lynn goes public, they have to do something. And that's when they show up at Joel's house. Okay. So yeah, I like that. So that means that there's a decision here. I feel like there's two stories here. And the story is like there's a story here about Jackson and Garvin. So let's go back. Let's look at our story. Whitey Jackson, there he is. Aha! I got it. So here we can do this stuff. This is where this should be. So let me go here and open up a new tab. And then that way we can go back here and get the character of Whitey as well. Jackson. I gotta change that name to Whitey Jackson. So now we know his name. It's gotta be consistent. Okay. And so this way, these things are more so I'm trying to find like an overarching game that he's playing. Oh, let me see if I can do that this way. Just gonna grab this and I'm gonna throw it into oh my god, I've had you guys on research. I'm so sorry. I thought you guys were in my writing. Well, I'm going back to research now, so let's go back to it. So I can't believe I left you guys in the dark like that so long. All right. So okay, I'm looking for a dramatic game this character is playing. Here's my character sheet. Okay. And then I'm going to go back to my writing. And I'm going to grab... I think I got everything. I just have research questions. Yeah, let's see. This is more research questions. Oh, this is good. This is more for his story. So, let's see where I would put this. Okay. So I'm going here. Okay, and I'll add this here. And then okay, this story takes place in 1994 in South Florida, just to give you a little bit of context. And Whitey is, he wants to move up in Joel's gang. He's already sort of the main hitman, but he's obviously in the dumpster because of the carelessness with which he's conducted himself. He got himself arrested by not complying with the police, and then eventually he gets out. At some point, he even tries to turn Garvin in. But I'm trying to sort of get a dramatic game he's playing where you can either win it, lose it, or abandon it. And the whole time he's trying to get ahead. It's something along the lines of getting ahead without putting in the work. Let me see if I can. So he calls it move up without cleaning up. Yeah. So he's lazy about the process, not his ambition. Okay. Yeah, but I don't like moving up without cleaning up because that's too abstract. Like if I told you that without any context, you wouldn't know what I'm even talking about. I want like a phrase that if somebody hears the phrase, they know exactly what you're talking about. Like I knew a guy and what he wanted to do was X. Let's see if Claude can be a little bit more. Yes, get the reward without doing the work. That's him right there. Yeah. Get to the top without paying attention. I think get the reward without doing the work is pretty good. I think without putting in the work is probably the way to go, or something like that. Let's see. We're moving. Yeah. Yeah, get the reward without putting in the work. That's what we're going with. Okay. So let's go back to writing. You guys. And that's what he's about. So let's see, the story setup is okay. So let me see if I just gotta make sure that I have everything here. So yeah, so we got that he turns him in. We got that. Okay. So I'm guessing that if we let's go to Whitey Jackson's story. So he wants to get the reward without putting in the work. So be the top dog. Be the top dog in Joel's gang. without putting in the work. And so yeah, this is the one where this is now it's making sense, right? We have his ideas and we can move his stuff, because if you think about his first decision is he skips the verification he was supposed to kill. That's very much on track with Whitey. Right? And then escalation 2. And then I don't think defying the police officer that pulls him over is exactly that behavior. But I wonder if it can be. Let's do a little research real quick. Let's go back to the research here. And let's ask Claude. All right, Claude. So I do like it. Get to the top of the gang, rise in the ranks of the gang without putting in the work or putting in minimal work. What about there's a scene where he gets arrested by the cop and he gets tased, and that's how he ends up in jail. Just carelessness. What is it about that scene that we can add an element of carelessness? Like, oh, well, okay, so there's a joke in the scene where the cop looks inside his trunk, and when he looks in his trunk, he sees all the bomb equipment and everything, and then he sees like a bag of weed, and then the cop zeroes in on the bag of weed, right? And then that's when he tells him to step out of the car, and he runs for it, and he gets tased. So it's a stereotypical failure to comply scene. So one of the things I thought is he could have, a blunt in the car. And another thing that he could have is like a Colt 45 bottle open in the car. Just something really stupid. Or he could have he could be driving without his lights on. It just has to be super careless. Do you have any idea of like what we could do here? Let me see if I have something in my... No. Let's see what Claude comes up with. See if there's anything good. So the taillight's good. Yep. He's over criminal and under criminal. He's got enough in that trunk to put him away for life, but what actually gets him is the same thing that gets every knucklehead in Overtown, the weed and the 40. And Whitey knows it too. That's what makes him run. He's not looking. Oh my God, that's funny. Busted taillight. Cop sees the trunk. Cop zeroes in on the blunt. Whitey panics about the wrong thing and runs, and he gets tased. He gets brought down by a $2 bag of weed and a Colt 45. That's Whitey in one scene. So I kind of like this. I'm just going to copy it and go back to writing so we can move forward because it's close enough. So I want to go to his story, and I'll just put down here, I'll just add it. Yeah, so it gets pulled over. By his broken taillight and runs when cop finds weed and a 45, a Colt 45 in his car, in his trunk. I'll clean that up because he's got to find the Colt 45 in the thing. Okay, and then escalation 3. He trains Garvin. This is all, yeah. Trains Garvin so he doesn't have to do the work. And then he turns Garvin in. When he thinks his job is threatened. That's funny. And then he I mean, yeah, and then he fails to check that Garvin is dead when he shoots him, and Garvin kills him. He fails to double check. Okay, so I gotta ask this question because I'm really, really curious. So I've seen a ton of action movies where somebody gets shot and then they get up later. But in reality, I get the impression that when people get shot, they kind of go into shock. So, do you have any realistic stories of a person getting shot and then coming back in and shooting somebody else? Like, if I want to do this, it's a trope that's been done in so many movies. But I think if I do it in a way that there's an actual police report or there's actually some sort of record, there's usually details in that make it seem very real and original. Do you have any off the top of your head? Let's see what Claude says. Yeah, there are some well-documented real cases that are genuinely cinematic. Trooper Mark Coates, this one is famous in law enforcement training. He gets shot at close range with a 22, keeps fighting, shoots back. The reason it's studied is precisely because the small caliber meant he didn't go down immediately. Adrenaline is real. North Hollywood shootout, slightly after your period, but the closest thing to an action movie that ever actually happened. The robbers took multiple hits and kept going for an extended period. The reason was body armor plus adrenaline plus methamphetamine. That combination is documented. Okay. The realistic detail that makes this feel true rather than the trope is the delayed collapse. In real shooting incidents, people often don't know they're badly hurt for 30 or 60 seconds. The body just keeps running on adrenaline. The shock hits and they go down hard. So for your scene, Garvin and then shooting Whitey, the realistic version isn't him shaking it off heroically. It's more like he fires almost reflectively while his body hasn't fully registered what happens yet. Immediately after Whitey drops, Garvin goes down too. He's not fine. He just had a 30-second window. The window is documented. That's your scene. But that's not my scene. Yeah, but the gag is supposed to be that Whitey thinks Garvin is dead and doesn't double check. So I need either the bullet to have missed or I need something to happen so that he thinks Garvin is dead. So I need that kind of a historic event. What event can you come up with where they thought somebody was dead and then they weren't? They don't necessarily have to have been shot. The classic is playing possum under stress, where someone is unconscious or appears to be dead and the attacker doesn't verify. But the most useful one for your purposes is actually a documented phenomenon called Dead Man's 10 Seconds, where someone takes a fatal or near fatal hit and has a brief window of consciousness and then motor function before losing it. The attacker sees them drop, assumes it's done, walks away, and that window is when the dead guy acts. For your specific gag, the most grounded version is probably Garvin gets hit but drops behind cover simultaneously. Whitey sees him go down, hears nothing, assumes the cover man, he's dead, doesn't check because checking means walking into a potentially bad angle. He's actually a real tactical mistake. Documented in police reports. Officers assuming a subject is down because they stopped responding without visual confirmation. The joke is that Whitey's sloppiness and his one moment of tactical caution are the same thing. Nah. I don't know. The way I had it is that Whitey tells one of the gang members to check. Just finish him off. And then he goes to release Joelle from the panic room. And they hear the gunshot. And he's like, yeah, I'm sure. And then when they come out, he's not dead. Let's see. That's actually better than anything I was going to suggest because it adds a layer of delegation, which is perfectly consistent with his character. It's funnier because now that the two people who don't check, the henchman presumably either doesn't finish the job properly or assumes Garvin is already dead and just reports back. No. So the way it is he tells the henchman, make sure he's dead. And then the henchman goes to make sure Garvin's dead. And we follow Whitey to the panic room where he lets Joelle out. And then once Joelle comes out, he asks, "Is he dead?" And he's like, "Yes." "You sure?" And then they hear the gunshot, and that gunshot is actually Garvin shooting the 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 gang member, not the gang member finishing Garvin off. But they just think they heard the gunshot, so they think it's him. They think that it's over. But then Garvin shows up and kills Whitey. Yeah, so the gunshot is a false confirmation. It also plays off Whitey's whole character in one elegant move. He didn't check the car, he didn't check the body, he didn't check what the gunshot means. 3 times, same flaw, escalating stakes. First time it kills an innocent man, second time it gets him arrested, third time it kills him. And the henchman going down off screen almost makes it funnier. We don't even need to see it. We just hear the shot and watch Whitey's face relax into confidence right before Garvin walks through the door. Yeah. Well, he's telling me I have a well-constructed theme. Thank you, Claude. Claude will butter you up. All right, so let's go back to it. So go back to writing. And let's see how we manifest this. So, okay, and then I'm not going to have an escalation of 5 here. No, I think he has the henchman finish Garvin off. And then Garvin actually killed the henchman. And then the resolution card. Yeah, there's our story. Okay, so we fill that in nicely. And yep. And we've got the tase stuff. Okay. He gets brought down by $2 bag of weed and Colt 45. That's Whitey in one scene. That's kind of funny, but let's move it to his character sheet. Okay. So it's cool when your templates, they're not templates, but the sheets that you're working on, when I don't like to use the word template because people think it's like a form you fill out. It's not. As you see, it requires a lot of creative work to do dramatic compression, and it's basically a rewriting tool. So once these notes start looking a lot more like expanded versions of your sheets, that's usually a good sign. It means you're converging. All right, so we're almost done here, guys, I think, for today. I have the research question. Okay, so yeah, so we'll move this out of the research questions and move it into Whitey's story. And then we'll go yeah, this is after Whitey turns Garvin in. Yeah. Okay. So great. So his stuff doesn't work. You know, he tries and it doesn't work. Okay. How much okay, so this is a lot of research that we're gonna do. So this is good. So that means that we've basically got research to do now on some stuff that's pending. And once we've got that research done, most of our character sheets are filled in. Our stories are filled in. Even Whitey's is filled in, I think. Yeah. So Whitey's is filled in. That was my timer. Whitey's all filled in. So we have his escalations. And I'm going to... Okay. I'm going to move the to-dos. Just going to put this, I'm going to say research questions. If I'm not mistaken, let's see. I'm not super good at Obsidian, but it's pretty cool. It's got some cool ideas, some cool features. So let me see if I can make this happen. I'm making a link here. And that did not work. But if I add another one, I bet you it will. Okay, so it works the opposite way. Oh, no. What is this doing? No, I gotta do it again. Okay, so I always get this backwards because I used to use another system, and the system that I used to use had the opposite like order. So let me try this. Writing, Garvin Hackett, research questions, and then I'll go here. Research questions. And that should work. There we go. So those are my to-dos. So actually we made some good progress. Every day we're making some progress, chipping away at this thing. So we got our to-dos. And this I gotta delete. So I will delete. Delete current file. Delete. And we'll go here. And we'll go writing. Garvin Hackett to do. No, just the main one. There we go. So we're back. Something that really scares me is these like weird emojis that keep showing up. I don't know where they come from. All right. Oh, wow. So I have all this stuff. Oh, this is all Tammy Lynn stuff. This is great. I can use this. Okay. Yeah, the rapey sex. That's good. It's inspired by actually a Louis C.K. skit. Let's see. Okay. But I think for today we're good, guys. I think we're good. I think the next thing I have to do, I got to put this into my to-dos is what I got to do. I got to go clear out. Yeah, I'm going to put this into my to-dos. Research questions. And then I'm going to say here, clear out writing Garvin Hackett. Yep. Clear out main file notes at the bottom. Because we're consolidating. Actually, yeah, it's going to be consolidate. All right, so today's just a lot of housekeeping, just sort of a checkpoint to see how everything is. But if you notice, we've actually made a significant amount of progress. We found the hole in our story development. We filled it in, and it almost wrote itself because we took disparate notes and used the tools, right? In this case, the story sheet for Whitey's story, and we filled it in with our existing notes, and it just sort of worked, which is beautiful. I love that feeling. So there it is. And I'll leave you with this. What I always say, sort of try to tell you guys at the end here is okay. Sorry about that. I'm still getting the hang of this stuff. So what I want to leave you guys with is this thing here. So this is the this is the course that I made on the tools that I use. So if you want to learn this craft, if you find this interesting, I am a professional script doctor, so if you want to learn the exact tools demonstrated in this video that working writers like me use to write, rewrite, and develop stories quickly, then I have a lecture and it'll show you how. And you've got the link right here in the QR code. Right over here. Right over here. Look at the QR. Look at the QR. So these tools apply to any form of narrative storytelling, screenplays, novels, comics, televisions, games, all of it. And it includes full scene breakdowns from well-known films and hands-on guidance for anyone serious about telling stories. A portion of every sale supports the Arts Accelerator, a nonprofit dedicated to developing the skill of emerging artists. And you can find out more about Arts Accelerator at artsaccelerator.org. So that is the Screenwriting Masterclass. If you guys like what you see here and you want to learn more about how to use the tools that I'm using to write and get these kinds of results, then by all means, I recommend you check that out. I think it'll be a wonderful investment of your time and attention and resources. So with that, I want to thank you guys if you stuck with me this far tonight. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Take care.
Sun is falling, speed